recent interviews where you recounted the trip to Florida, you said that Judge Conahan was, of course, at the time he was president judge, and quote, he was respected. There was no question about his ethics. But I think it could be argued that there have been questions about his ethics raised before that, including the transcript that you mentioned earlier, which it was alleged that he had connected an acquaintance who was a known drug dealer. More recently, testimony suggests he's been eating breakfast regularly with members of organized crime. No awareness of that at that time.
Absolutely not. I mean, absolutely unequivocally no knowledge that he was having breakfast with suspected members of organized crime. I just didn't know that. One question that's been asked about the trip is, well, didn't you know from the 90s about the prosecution of Bellatir or the inquiries about Judge Conahan? First of all, when I look at the stories that have been printed now, I believe that Bellatir was prosecuted in 1991. I wasn't even the DA in 91. Okay, I mean, I just wasn't. I was a private practicing lawyer, and if somebody said the name to me, Ron Bellatir, until this whole thing blew up, that name simply meant nothing to me. Was there? Do I recall some newspaper articles about Conahan being an unindicted co-conspirator? I did, but I also recall that there had been an inquiry by the Judicial Conduct Board, and that the Judicial Conduct Board brought no action. Now, it's hard to imagine that if the Judicial Conduct Board knew that he did something improper in a drug case, that they would permit him to sit as a judge. It's hard to imagine that, and nothing happened. Additionally, then, in I think 2003, although I'm not 100% sure, he was retained. So once again now, he fooled thousands of Luzerne County voters and members of the public who voted yes for his retention. And he was the president judge of our county. I've said to Terry, I've said publicly, I've said to anybody that I've talked to, unequivocally, without hesitation, that if I knew that Judge Conahan was doing something criminal or unethical, I never would have been near him. And I think that if you, and I say this respectfully, if your reporters or your staff want to interview members of this community, from law enforcement, from the bar, from the courthouse, to think that I would be with anybody who's committing criminal conduct, let them tell you what they think about that, because I obviously unequivocally wouldn't.
I'm sorry,
And I would say this, Mark, if I could just finish this, and I'll clearly say this. In my lifetime, both personally and professionally, I've relied upon my instincts to get me through professional situations, to get me through my job, my work, my relationships with people. And the vast, vast majority of the time, my instincts are good and reliable, and have been good and reliable. I am disappointed. And I say again without hesitation that I am disappointed that my instincts let me down about Mike Conahan. And I regret that. I'm disappointed. And had I known, I just wouldn't have been with him.